comments. The big thing is actually two questions I have is, do we feel like Washington can still win this particular division? And the other one will be is, what do we do with the quarterback position? Because Kyle Allen, the starting quarterback, injured. We don't know how long he's going to be out for, but it looks like it's some like ankle dislocation. So let's get started. First of all, Charlotte, we saw two different teams in this particular game.
Yes.
I mean, this is a team where they barely rushed for any yards, couldn't pass at all. 3 turnovers in the first half, 2 in the first quarter. Yeah. And next thing you know, the second half, this team turns it around and makes it a 3-point game after they trailed by as many as 17 points.
Yeah, it really was a tale of two halves in this one. As you mentioned, they had a really rough start to this game. We were watching the football fly around there. There was, as you said, 3 turnovers, and really you just can't do anything, as Ron Rivera said after the game, when you have that many turnovers. There's 5 turnovers total in this game. Those last 2 interceptions, though, coming at the end, those were tough to see. But you mentioned the NFC East, and if they are still alive, they are still very much alive. And when Ron Rivera was asked about that after the game, he actually chuckled. He started laughing. He said, well, yeah, we're still in it. Kind of smiled, laughed, because it is crazy to think about. They only have 2 wins, but they are still very much alive in this NFC East race. As we know, they are in second place right now in the NFC standings, which is just insane, but it just tells you what kind of division this is this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad division, Charlotte. I mean, hopefully maybe the not the worst team, but not so worse. That's not correct English, is it? The not so worst team is able
second
to
worst.
the second word. I don't, whatever how you word it. It's just a bad division, and hopefully one of these particular teams in this bad division can win their division, which they will. But of course, the Burgundy and Gold wants to do that.
They need to play better.
But here's my thing, and I thought about this driving in this morning, and maybe I'll be wrong, but I really feel like now the postseason dreams for this Washington football team is out the window. And my reason behind that is, you just got swept by the New York Giants. The New York Giants that came into this ball game 1-7.
And that one win coming from
the New York Giants. And the thing about it, Daniel Jones, their quarterback, he's so bad, y'all. Trust me, he's a guy who can make some big plays, but then he makes some horrible plays. But Daniel Jones right now has, 4 career wins? I believe it is 4 career wins.
But
three of them are against the Washington football team. He is 1-16 against everybody else.
And you know what? Daniel Jones, the New York Giants, didn't win this game. Washington lost this game. Just like last time when they played New York, Washington had an opportunity to win this football game. They had several opportunities to win this football game, but you can't have 5 turnovers and win a football game. You just can't do it.
One of the great things about this show, Charlotte and I, we can continue to talk and just talk about how frustrated we are. Because we want our team to win. The more Washington wins, the better our job is, and you, the fans at home, the more exciting your season will be. Unfortunately, that is not the case. We can talk about our frustration. Make sure you comment on our Facebook page on how frustrated you are. Until then, this is what the players had to say about another L.
We didn't start fast, and we've been preaching that all year. We've got to play a full 60-minute ball game on offense, defense, and special teams. Everybody's got to be able to play together.
We're going to learn from this. I mean, first thing we'll learn is you can't spot teams 20 points and a half and expect to give yourself a fair chance to win. But the way they came back and played the second half was indicative of who this football team can be, in my opinion.
You can't feel sorry for yourself. Nobody else is. We can't feel sorry for ourselves. We're going on the road next week, and everyone counts. Everyone matters, and we just got to get to the fundamentals of football, not turning over the ball, penalties. I feel like that hurt us a little bit today, and we just got to minimize the mistakes. We're not at the level where we can overcome too many mistakes. So, that's the biggest thing going into this week. You got to play cleaner.
All right, so they need to play cleaner moving forward. And here's a look at the NFC standings. If we can take a look at the way the standings look in the NFC East. We don't have the NFC standings. Okay, all right. Well, the way it looks right now is you have the Philadelphia Eagles that are in first place. They're on the bye week. And then you have a tie, which you were mentioning before, where you have 2 teams, the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington football team, tied for second.
And might I mention, right now, the Dallas Cowboys are beating the Pittsburgh Steelers 13-6.
Oh, you got to hype it up. If you're going to say if you're going to say they're beating a particular team, Charlie, you better hype it up.
Pittsburgh Steelers, the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers are right now losing to the Dallas Cowboys, who are right now in third in the NFC East.
They are 7-0, and they're beating them. The Dallas Cowboys, who I feel is one of the worst teams in the league right now. Comment on our Facebook page. Charlotte and I will read your comments a little bit later. But, of course, the big question is, can this team, despite another loss, win this particular division and make the postseason? Do you feel like this team should just pack the bags up and just hope and wait for the draft? Also, what do you think this team should do with the quarterback position? And that's what we're going to talk about right now. Charlotte, what do we have? Because it's not any good news.
It's not good news, and that was the first thing Coach Ron Rivera addressed after the game. He said that Kyle Allen has a dislocated ankle. He does not know if this is a season-ending injury. He's going to meet with the medical staff afterwards and see and assess what Kyle Allen's injury really means. It's really tough to see that. You know, we saw it in slow-mo. We saw as he went down and the way that ankle turned, and it just looked awful. And then, of course, he was carted off the field. You saw that ankle wrapped up in that air cast. And Alex Smith addressed that after the game, too, saying he's been there. He knows what that moment is like, and he felt for him. Everyone felt for him. You never want to see that happen, and especially with another Washington football team quarterback going down. Yeah,
we're going to show pictures in just a little bit as we continue to talk about it. But if you were watching the game live, it's never a pretty sight when you see, you know, someone's ankle that's maybe supposed to just do this, and then it's like that.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
And the thing about it, it was what Ron Rivera said after the game, which you won't hear in our post-game sound, because we did also talk to the players as well. We'll hear about that injury in a minute. But Jabril Peppers, who plays for the Giants, he was trying to get to the quarterback and kind of like his leg kind of swung around and hit Kyle Allen. Ron Rivera didn't think it was a dirty play. Ron Rivera, who played defense back in the day himself when he was with like the Chicago Bears, he's been in that type of position before. Didn't think it was a dirty play. It was just one of those bang type of NFL plays, and it happens. But what's so crazy about it is we have another quarterback that now has some type of leg injury, some type of broken this or broken that, because I heard the dislocated part, which you just mentioned. There are some reports out there that there's also a small fracture, not like a compound fracture like what Alex Smith had, but, you know, I remember me in 8th grade, I had a hairline fracture. So a fracture is a fracture, but we don't know how big it is. But what we do know is that, I mean, Ron Rivera, he made it clear right away when I believe it was, I forgot who asked, but Alex Smith is going to be the starter. That's going to be the guy moving forward. Here's the pictures of how that injury went down.
And you see him taking him down right there with that ankle. That ankle turned in.
You see the left ankle, right?
Yeah. It's turning in right there. And he knew right away just the way that ankle turned. And we could see how long he was down for. And you also saw that moment when he was carted off the field. He looked out of the stands and he kind of shook his head thinking, you know it's not good. Here's what coaches and players had to say after the game.
That hurt me because Kyle has been a guy who came in and was just trying to be ready for his moment. And, you know, the last few weeks, he really beginning helping us get into a rhythm, and he's been practicing well. Me and him have been forming a connection. So you never want to see one of your teammates go down.
You see him bring out the air cast in the cart, and I know that routine well. So ton of emotions. You know, I'm trying to, lock it in, but obviously feeling for Kyle. As quarterbacks, we spend a ton of time together, and obviously feeling for him at that point, not knowing what's going on.
It's tough, to see a guy like that go down, because he's worked so hard to get to the point he's at. He's playing well. He was leading that offense, and it's tough. It's just tough to see a guy like that go down.
So when you look at one of the big-name quarterbacks for the Washington football team, Joe Theismann, if we can bring that tweet up and what Joe Theismann tweeted right away. If we don't have it, just let me know. But Joe Theismann, he tweeted, November is a lousy month for Washington quarterbacks. Now, Joe Theismann, if you don't remember, he was one of the quarterbacks who back in 1985, he had a compound fracture. And here's the thing about what makes this so unique. I don't call it unique, just a bad situation. So Joe Theismann is talking about November in quarterbacks. Let's go to the next video where you look at Joe Theismann back in November 18th, 1985, suffered a compound fracture. And then you see another leg fracture on November 18th for Alex Smith back in 2018. And now we have a dislocated ankle for Kyle Allen November 8th, 2020. So now you hear what Joe Theismann is talking about, or why the month of November is just not.
It is quarterbacks.
It is just not a good month for Washington quarterbacks. Wow. And I know it's not November, but I mean, if you guys remember back in 2018, just like a few weeks later, I believe it was like December 4th, Colt McCoy broke his leg.
Yep.
So I guess you can say, you know, around Thanksgiving is just not a good time for the Washington football team. Here's just a rundown of some of the injuries. I was mentioning that Colt McCoy thing again, though. But now it's on Alex Smith, Charla. We saw when Kyle Allen was knocked out of the game before against, I believe it was the LA Rams, I believe.
Yep. And that was an awful day. That
correct.
was a completely different day weather-wise from today. He had to deal with all of that. He had to deal with the rain. He had to deal with the wet conditions. He was getting sacked left and right. He couldn't really move the ball at all. That was a really tough day for them. But he came out today, sunny skies, fans are in the stands. We thought, all right.
Were you worried at all? Were you worried?
You know what? I was a lot less worried. I think both you and I were on pins and needles when he came in against the Rams. Both you and I were watching this game thinking, oh goodness, you know, here he comes. And then sure enough, we saw him get taken down a lot. But he took those hits. He took them in stride. He got better. Well, now here he is coming into this game again. And he even said he felt a lot better, and I think we felt a lot better watching him. He was able to move a lot more. He was throwing more passes. He was getting out of the pocket. He looked like the old Alex Smith, the Alex Smith 2 years ago that could lead a football team when they were down. And Alex Smith looked good when he had to, but then there's still those mistakes. Mistakes plaguing this team.
And I think you do make some great points in regards to this is the old Alex Smith that we're used to seeing. But then there's a part of me, I want to disagree with you, but not like you're totally wrong. Not at all. I think maybe it's more about rust with Alex Smith.
Definitely.
One thing that was so good about Alex Smith is he would never turn the ball over. I mean, he was a game manager. He'll manage the game really well. And because he was thrown out there, and it's unfamiliar for Alex Smith. I mean, this is a guy who was drafted #1 overall. He's been the starter since day one. And he never really had to play that backup role until he lost his position to Colin Kaepernick, but he never really got that position back. So this is new territory for him. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do now with a full week of preparation. Like we mentioned before, Ron Rivera made him the starting quarterback. And here's what some of the players and Alex Smith had to say about Alex Smith now being the man.
A lot different. A lot different. I mean, I think it was nice to have that. Like I said, I really felt like that was a step for me a few weeks ago, and could kind of move on to the next one now, kind of put that behind me. I didn't have to, wasn't thinking about my foot out there, wasn't thinking about my leg, just playing. I feel more and more comfortable. I've gotten obviously a lot more work in these last few weeks and feeling better and better. So, you know, there were some things out there, no question. I really felt good moving around. Making things happen, playing faster. So,
man, ever since he had went down, man, I just knew when he came back, I knew I had to do everything in my power to do everything I can for him. I mean, he came back, so that means I got to do what I can. I got to do everything right for him.
You know, Alex, it's great to have him because he's played a lot of football for us. And, you know, he knows what it takes to put a full week of practice together and be a part of the game plan and execute. And, you know, I'm even encouraging Dwayne to be ready because, you know, I mean, he's going to be next man up as well. So everybody has to be all hands on deck and be ready for their moment, you know what I mean? So that's what we're looking to do going forward. And, you know, they have some great coaches in that room. So I know they're going to give us the best opportunity they can to help us win games.
So right now, the best opportunity, Coach Ron Rivera believes, is to go with Alex Smith. He is definitely starting next week. Dwayne Haskins will be his backup. And Alex Smith had some great weapons to work with today. We saw a lot from Cam Sims, but a lot from the captain, Terry McLaurin.
The new captain.
What a game, yeah.
Such a young guy, second-year receiver. I mean, since day one, and I was mentioning this to you before this post-game show, which you, the fans, you got to understand that Terry McLaurin, when he got this opportunity to play for the Washington football team, he looked at this opportunity like a blessing. And I remember he was on the phone with Coach, and at the time it wasn't Ron Rivera, it was Jay Gruden who he was talking to. But he's just like, I'm gonna give you my best. I'm gonna give you my best shot. I won't let you down. That's the thing I remember the most. I won't let you down. And Terry McLaurin has been a outstanding pro. I mean, he had that 68-yard touchdown today, which was Alex Smith's first touchdown since his injury. I believe his last touchdown was on November 11th against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But Terry McLaurin, he now he takes sole possession of second place in franchise history with 10 touchdowns through 22 games. So you're looking at one of the best receivers to ever play for the Washington football team in regards to how they start their career in the Burgundy and Gold. We are witnessing history out of number 17, the second-year receiver out of Ohio State.
And he is so humble. I mean, really, every time we talk to him, he is so humble, and he has become such a great leader. Even before he was named captain earlier this week, a video kind of went viral of him post-game in the locker room after they had that big win a few weeks ago, and him giving a pep talk of sorts going into that bye week to his team. And he even started the pep talk by saying, "I'm a young guy, and I'm no captain." Well, now he's a captain, and it shows. He had 115 yards today. Of course, that huge touchdown from Alex Smith, and it really was great seeing him out there today and just performing at that high level that this Washington team needs.
That 68-yard touchdown, look, I'm keeping it real. My man's helping out my fantasy team. Listen, my fantasy team would be like winless right now if it wasn't Terry McLaurin.
That's right.
I'm just putting that out there in the atmosphere.
Thanks,
because
Terry.
I was like, oh gosh, my fantasy team's horrible, and all of a sudden, bam, 68-yard touchdown by Terry McLaurin. I'm back in the ball game. I need to check during our next like commercial break or something like that, so I can see where I am in regards to my points, my fantasy points. But yeah. You got to love Terry McLaurin. You mentioned that he was a quiet guy, but he's a vocal leader. But he was a unanimous decision, like by all the players, that they wanted him to be the captain, not necessarily because he's a vocal leader. It's because he comes into the locker room, he does his job, he prepares. And I believe what we talked, Terry spoke after the game, right? Yeah.
That's right. And he said how much it really means to him to be that captain today. Take a listen.
It's surreal. It's humbling. You know, guys really blessed me to put me in a position to be one of the leaders of this team. And, you know, I want to continue to grow and embrace that. You know, to be selected by your teammates and your coaches as one of the leaders, especially in your second year. You know, it's very humbling for myself, but I just want to continue to do what I've done up until this point, continue to earn their respect, continue to earn their trust each and every week, and, you know, help lead them as any way I can. So for Coach Rivera to allow me to go out there for the coin toss and represent our team, you know, it feels really good.
Yeah, I mean, Terry's, I think, even as a rookie, when he came in, was such a pro. The way he went about his business, his work ethic, such a good teammate. And then I think the thing that I realized pretty quick just watching was, especially on game day, the competitiveness that kicks in with Terry. I mean, he really takes it up a whole nother level. There's not many guys I've seen that can do that like he does. And his willingness and, like I said, competitiveness, certainly combined with his talents, really make him tough on Sundays. So he's fun to watch when he flips that switch on game day. You can see it. You can see it in his eyes, certainly see it in his play.
Now, one thing about Terry McLaurin, I mean, the guy had 7 receptions today. He was only 1 reception shy from passing Jordan Reed for having the most receptions in franchise history through the first 22 games of his career. I'm telling you.
He's good.
He's special.
And as you said, he's really helping out our fantasy teams right now. So thanks, Terry, for that. But another guy who just had a stellar game, only 3 receptions. So you look at that on paper and think, But Cam Sims had 110 yards with those 3 receptions. He had a game. He was fun to watch.
What's so amazing about this, so this is probably for anybody at home who maybe you're looking for a better opportunity, and maybe when you get that opportunity, it doesn't work out the way you want it to work out. Cam Sims, listen, he was a beast in college. He came here to the Washington football team, and he was on the scout team. And for anybody who doesn't understand what the scout team is basically you're the person who's supposed to pretend like you're the other team that Washington's going against. You don't really get any reps with the first team or anything like that. And Cam Sims gets this opportunity because of some of the injuries at the receiver position, and gets in the mix of the starting rotation. And he takes advantage of that opportunity. And you can tell that because of his preparation and because of that mentality that, okay, you know what, it's a next man up mentality, and that next man is me. I'm going to take advantage of it. And we're getting a good look that Cam Sims may be a part of the future of this offense moving forward, because he's a young guy, Charlotte.
I think you got to make him a part of this future, especially after this game. And yes, they still got the L today. They still got the loss. But Cam Sims, we watched him progress. And every coach and player that spoke about him afterwards said he is that guy that's putting in the work. He wants to be here, and he wants to find success with the Washington football team. Here's what Terry McLaurin had to say about him.
The way he came into camp, I'm only known Cam for 2 years, but the way he came into camp this year, I knew he had a potential to have a great year if he got the opportunity. And what I respect most about Cam is he doesn't say much. Whether he gets the ball, whether he's blocking, whether he's playing special teams, he's a dude who's willing to do the dirty work, whatever it takes for this team. And, that hits me right in my heart because that's the kind of guy I am. So I resonate with that. And the way he's making the most of his opportunities is only going to grow as the season progresses. And we're going to need him to continue to play better. So I'm really happy for him.
So now it's up to what we're going to see out of Cam Sims and, of course, Terry McLaurin, who we just saw there when they take on the Detroit Lions next week. Just a little sneak peek. We spoke to Adrian Peterson, the former Washington football running back. We'll have some more tonight at 11 o'clock. And, of course, an exclusive interview tomorrow. That's just a plug. Is that all right?
Yeah,
just a plug.
talking to AP.
Just a plug, putting that in there. Future Hall of Famer. By the way, if you didn't notice, there were fans in the stands at FedEx Field. Take a look at that. We didn't have any fans in the stands all season. Of course, it was a period of time where you had the friends and family there, but we actually had some real fans. Shoot, even the Giants fans showed up. Here's my thing about this, and I'm going to rant. And can I have my moment? I'm going to have my moment.
Okay, 60 seconds.
So they allowed the Washington football team to have 3,500 fans at FedEx Field today. How the heck did the New York Giants find a way to sneak in there? If anything, all those 3,500 fans should be all Washington fans, right?
And that's dedication because let's get real, the Giants have not had a good season, but they did have that win against Washington. So I guess those dedicated Giants fans decided, hey, maybe we'll watch another win. And they did. So
our photographer, David Satchel, he interviewed some of those Giants fans, and I guess it was some guy who's in Philadelphia. And because the Giants and Jets don't allow to have fans at their game, they took advantage of coming to D.C., but I think it should be like what the Washington Capitals did during the postseason run, like set your tickets up so if you don't live in the area of the DMV, you can't get tickets. But anyways, it was still good to see fans out there, and the players, they did recognize that when they hit the field.
Running out of the tunnel and seeing people out there put a smile on my face, put a smile on all our faces to see our fans who have stuck by us through, a tough off season, a long first part of the season, and see those people out there supporting us. It feels good, and we just want to continue to work harder and put a good product on the field so it's something they could be proud of as fans. So I hope that they keep supporting us, hope they keep coming, and it was great to see them out there today.
All right, so that's the player side of things. Of course, like any athlete, we've all played, when you had gymnastics, it's great when you, I don't know, give me a gymnastics thing.
You need the fans, though. You need those people cheering for you.
But I need you to give me a gymnastics move. What is it? Because if it was figure skating, it'd be like a triple sow cow.
Like a round off back handspring.
Back when you do that, the round off back handspring,
and then
whatever
you stick it,
and then you hear the crowd.
Cheers. But Ron Rivera also said after the game, he noticed the fans. He could hear them yelling. He could also hear some of the Giants fans too. We got to kick them out. No more away fans. You only get 3,500.
Like there's a guy by the name of Jahi. They call him the Road Warrior, right? And he had this video where it's, where you check your temperature, and he's like, we're checking all temperatures and we're making sure Giants fans are not coming into FedEx Field. I'm blaming this on Jahi, the Road Warrior, for letting some of those Giants fans in here. That's a problem. But you know what? During the game, the fans were happy to see some football, and here's what some of the fans had to say of their first experience at FedEx Field watching a game during the pandemic.
They haven't had that great of a game, but it's just nice to come.
They're making sure that people keep their mask on unless they're eating or drinking. I've seen them several times go to different people and just politely ask, could they put their mask back up? And the fans are really being fantastic in terms of adhering to, the policies and everything that's being asked of them. So it's been a great experience, and I feel safe.
All right, so those are the fans here, and now as we move forward with particular things, let's look at the upcoming schedule now, Charla. Okay. Fans, make sure you comment on our Facebook page. Let me know what you think about this, because one of my biggest questions, can this team still win the division? And the Lions, they have the Lions next, like we mentioned. Of course, Adrian Peterson now plays for them. They lost. The Bengals are on the bye. The Cowboys. We're not going to talk about the Steelers yet because the Cowboys are playing the Steelers, and I don't know what Steelers team may show up, the 7-0 one or the one that's losing to the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
I still feel like this Washington football team can win 3 more games looking at this schedule. Do you agree?
Yes, I felt like they could win so many more than they have. I felt like they could have beaten the Giants the first time around. I felt like they could have won that game today. But again, it's the mistakes. They play well. They came out in the second half today. They were doing what they needed to do to get it done. You saw Alex Smith to Terry McLaurin, that great touchdown. You're getting the momentum back. It's 23-20. They're driving. There's hope. 2 interceptions.
Yeah. It's all about the start. And we've kind of, the Washington
started
football
slow.
team has had some issues in regards to how they start particular games. This goes back to the Jay Gruden days. And when I look at this first stat, so Washington, they had 6 first quarter turnovers this season. That's tied for most in the NFL. And the team that they're tied with for the most turnovers in the first quarter, and of course, first quarter, that's how you start.
Right.
The Dallas Cowboys. And I don't care if they're beating the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. I'm going by all the previous games on how bad they really are.
Yeah.
You don't want to have your name in the conversation with the Dallas Cowboys this year. They're not America's team. They're America's trash can. So we want to make sure Washington has its own identity, not something that reflects off the Dallas Cowboys. With that said, they got to go to Detroit, though. It's an away game. Maybe it works out better for them where they're not around their home fans, where all they can do is just focus. What do you think?
But you know that there's one guy that would love nothing more than to beat Washington next week. As you mentioned, Adrian Peterson, you got to chat with him, and yeah, I think he's got that chip on his shoulder.
He said it himself.
Yeah.
He's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and we'll have more on that at 11 o'clock tonight. The full story tomorrow. Comment on our Facebook page. Do you miss Adrian Peterson? I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer. Remember what he did. But some of the things that you'll get out of that particular game, or where you'll hear leading up to that game, is he did appreciate the opportunity the Washington football team gave to him. Because if you look at his career, many said that Adrian Peterson's career was over. He's too old of a running back, and Washington took a chance, and it literally rejuvenated his career. Where he's still playing right now, and dude's almost 42 years old. I'm lying. I think, what is he, 36?
He's 35.
He's 35?
Yep, 35.
He'd be 36, whatever, in a few months. So it's worked out well for him in regards to that. Now, the big thing that's going to need to happen is the defense.
Right.
I get it. The offense, because of all those turnovers that we were mentioning before, will put the defense in a tough situation. But we need this defense to stand up. And a guy who almost had an interception today, Kevin Pierre-Louis, linebacker from Boston College. Actually, he's from my home state of Connecticut. Almost had an interception. Ball hit the ground a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to need to be a linebacker that's going to have to step up. But here's some more about Kevin Pierre-Louis that we didn't know about the linebacker.
Rapid 9, sponsored by Toyota.
Kevin Pierre-Louis, Rapid 9. You have one daughter. Who would you rather not babysit your kids? Anybody on this team?
I'll go with the young buck, Khalid Huxton. You know, he might fall asleep or, you know, watch some crazy show or whatnot.
So he may have your 3-year-old daughter watching some R-rated movie.
Yeah, come back. Next thing you know, she's saying things she shouldn't be saying at that age.
If you could pick anybody on this team to just get one big hit on, they'll be okay, but just one big hit, who's that guy?
I'm gonna go with TD. You know, he's a guy. You know, I get that big hit, he'll bounce back up. You know, he likes things like that.
So what if Thomas Davis hits you back? How's that gonna work out?
Then we just gonna keep going back and forth, I guess. Somebody got to break eventually.
Have you ever hit somebody so hard that you saw snot come out their nose?
I've hit people hard enough to where I'm like, middle of the game, I'm like, I can't wait to watch this on film. You know, you go into meetings, you know the play coming. You like,
One thing that you eat that you know you shouldn't eat.
More candy. I need to quit that. On our away games, I make sure I go to the gas station and load the backpack with the candies that I need for the trip.
So if you could put any team meal, what would you put on the team meal?
It has to be some type of Haitian food, legumes, soswa, you know, a bunch of things that a lot of people here probably wouldn't know about.
You're stranded on an island, but you can only pick between 2 items of clothing to wear. What would you wear? A Cowboys jersey or a New York Giants jersey?
I'll use those jerseys, those articles of clothing for something else. Maybe respectfully start a fire, you know, to warm up, cook some food. I'll use those resources in another way.
All right, now this is the best time of the show because we're still going to talk, but it's more about your voice and how you feel about this Washington football team. So we're going to read some of the comments that you put on our Facebook page. We always appreciate it because your voice matters. It sounds like that's like an election thing, like your voice matters.
But we
your
have a
vote
lot
matters.
of comments here.
So
a lot of good ones.
So we're going to go back and forth, but my first one, and this is in no particular order, but Kim Parkhurst says, can't turn the ball over and allow them to run all over you and win. And I think the big comment here is the turning the ball over, like we mentioned before, those turnovers at the beginning of the game, especially in that first quarter.
The very first possession, losing the ball in the very first play of the game.
And it was a great run by Antonio Gibson.
And then, you can't do that.
One thing I learned as a former player, and I never played in the NFL, but I played college, if you put the ball on the ground, they're going to put you on the bench, and they're also going to put you in a position where your team is going to lose. It's like a double whammy there. You don't want that to happen. What other comments do we have?
You got to hold on to that football. All right, so we're seeing here we have Anthony Day says, from beginning to end, fundamental mistakes cost us the game. I'm actually excited about the second half of football for us because of what just happened in elections. All right. But, I see what he's saying. You had the mistakes there, and there's still a lot of football to be played. As we said, Coach Rod Rivera said it himself. Yeah, we have 2 wins, but we are still in this NFC East title hunt.
I'm just curious, Charlotte, while just a pause and while we read these comments. I think we are midway through the season now for the Washington football team.
We are.
And just like school, if we had to give the team like a midterm grade, what midterm grade would you give the Washington football team? And you at home can also comment below. But I'm just wondering, Professor, what would be the midterm grade that you would give the Washington football team?
I'm going to go C-.
C-. That's not bad.
And that's being generous, I feel like. Because if you look at the record, I'm going to go C-. But there's things that they are starting to do right. They are starting to click in certain aspects of the game. Today, they were clicking in the second half on offense. They're starting to do things right. I feel like they're almost there. They're almost there. So much so that I believe they are going to get a win next week at Detroit.
Okay. All right. Is that a guarantee?
That's a guarantee. I'm calling it.
Digital team, make sure we're recording this because if they get that win, we want to roll the Charlotte clip. All right, they know. So it's funny because you sound like a teacher that, like they kind of give the curve, like you're C-, but maybe I can roll it up to like a B- or something. I'm gonna agree with the C- that you gave them.
Okay.
And I'm giving them a C- because, of course, they only have 2 wins this season. I mean, I would give them a D if they had 1 loss or if they're a winless. I guess if they're a winless, they'll need to get an F. The thing is that 1 win against Philadelphia, it was okay first week of the season, but their win against the Dallas Cowboys, that wasn't a good team. Matter of fact, I should drop it down to a D.
Oh.
But a D+, I guess.
Yeah. Is that a thing? Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna make it a thing. I guess it's a D+ just because the 2 wins that they have this season is over a Philadelphia Eagles team that struggled at the beginning of the season. They had some injuries. Now they're getting back together, and that's why they lead their particular division, a very bad division. And then you have a Dallas Cowboys team, which I really am curious on where they stand right now against the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers.
It's at halftime.
It's at halftime?
And the Cowboys are leading.
Okay, they're still leading? Still, though, they still have to play the entire game.
Right.
So those aren't quality wins. So, and moving on. Oh, you want?
Well, it sounds like we're giving them the C-, the D+.
If this was college, college, you're not going to get college credit because you need like
you're going to have to take that class over.
Yeah, you may want to go to your professor and be like, can you put an incomplete down there so it doesn't reflect on my GPA and I can take it next semester? All right, so our next.
But there's frustrations, and I think we're seeing that on our Facebook posts as well. I'm seeing a lot of people, they're frustrated.
Well, I have somebody who's actually excited moving forward. Anthony Day says, I'm not so frustrated. I'm really excited about how Alex Smith is about to change and turn around this season for Washington.
And you know what? To go off that,
okay.
Dana Decker says, where do you get the Alex Smith T-shirts? I'm with you. I need one of those T-shirts.
Kyle Allen would know where to get the Alex Smith T-shirt. He was rocking it earlier. But let's chat about Alex Smith real fast.
Yeah.
Can this be the quarterback that we saw in the past that can lead this team, let's just say, to the postseason? And I'm not too certain about it. And I love Alex Smith.
I think he can.
He's a great individual. I guess it's one of those things where it's like we see him get tackled, but when we see him get up, and we're like, okay, he's still good. But I'm still like unsure, like, is he 100%? Does he feel 90%? Can he do what he used to do? He knows what he can do.
Yeah, I think he is. And this is why I think you said it perfectly early on in this show. You said there's some rust there. And I think that's true. And when you're not practicing with the starters and you're not starting every week and you're not playing every week, it's tough to get back in a rhythm. He starts slow. He started slow versus the Rams. He started slow today. But then he finally gets in that groove. And he is a calm, cool, collected quarterback. And we saw him come through when his team needed him. Yes, he had those 2 interceptions in the second half, but that one We saw J.D. McKissick fall down.
Yeah, it wasn't
his
fault.
That was a tough call. Yeah, that wasn't really his fault. Now, obviously, the second one, right to the guy, just kind of misread it, as he said later on. That's tough to see. But he doesn't have the experience in the last 2 years. He has the experience overall in his career, but he has that rust. He's got to shake off that rust, and I think he will do that. And I think this week coming now, he knows he's the starter going into next week. He will be practicing with the first team, the starters. I think we're going to see a different Alex Smith next week at Detroit.
Stephen T. Miller says we look fantastic today.
Oh, well, thank you.
You know what? I'm gonna take it off of me and give you all the credit for that.
Oh, okay.
Actually, that's what he did. That's what he did to me. It had nothing to do with me.
Thanks, Stephen.
But a good question is Dana Decker's wondering. So Kyle Allen's injury, is it definitely broken?
No, we have not heard that. We have not gotten confirmation from that yet. All we know for sure is what Coach Ron Rivera told us after the game, that it's dislocated. It's a dislocated ankle.
Still bad.
It's still bad. We're not sure. There could be some fractures there, but Coach Rivera wasn't even sure. He said that after he talked with us, he was then going to speak with the medical staff and learn further about his injury. So Coach Rivera is set to speak again to members of the media tomorrow morning. So hopefully by then we will know more about Kyle Allen's injury.
All right, as we get ready to wrap this up, the Washington football team loses 23-20 to the New York Giants. They have now lost, 6 out of their last 7 games.
Oh.
They've also lost 5 straight to the New York Giants. I mentioned before Daniel Jones, a quarterback for the Giants. I mean, he just loves he should put on the schedule. Let's play Washington every single week, because Daniel Jones, the quarterback for the New York Giants, is 4-0 against the Washington football team.
Yeah, we make him look like the next Tom Brady.
Correct. It's just when he plays in all the other teams, he's 1-16. But the only positive note will be is you have a team coming off a loss in the Washington football team, and then you have another team coming off a loss, the Detroit Lions, next week in the D at Ford Field. You already gave your prediction. You already said Detroit's gonna lose.
I
you already
think
said
that
Washington's
Washington
gonna win.
is starting to figure things out. They're starting to get that rhythm. I know it's taken a while. Yes, we know it's taken a long while, but I think they're going to do it.
So as much as I want to pick Washington again, and listen, you guys can comment on the Facebook page. You guys can hate me all you want. It's just I just realized the reality of this football team. A lot of it relies on Alex Smith. Can he prepare the entire week and prove me wrong? If not, if we see the same Washington football team like we've been seeing the entire season, they're not going to beat the Detroit Lions, especially if Matthew Stafford, who he had his whole COVID deal for the Lions, he didn't get that much practice this particular week. That can be the excuse. But he's going to have a full week of practice. So we have 2 quarterbacks now who are going to get their full week of practice. Can Alex Smith beat out Matthew Stafford, a Utah guy versus this guy who played for this horrible college? I don't know where Matthew Stafford played at. I don't know where Matthew Stafford played at, but unfortunately they produced amazing sports anchors.
University of Georgia.
Bad quarterbacks, but great sports anchors. Shout out to Charlotte McBride. She's a Georgia Bulldog. But
he's a great quarterback too.
But I'm gonna say Detroit is gonna beat Washington. I apologize. I'm sorry. You can hate me. Comment on our Facebook page. I'll try to defend myself all I want. But that's our prediction.
Okay.
Charlotte picks the win. I pick the loss. We'll talk next week.
We'll see.
And I guess we'll roll this back because somebody's going to be wrong. Either you or myself.
I really hope it's not me.
You want to sign it off? You want to say peace out? You want to say deuces?
Peace out. Thanks for joining us. Same time next week right here. We'll have our post-game show 5:30. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on Facebook. We love seeing your comments. Don't be afraid to comment. No profanity, though. Nice comments.
Really?
And, well, come on.
No, I'm joking.
But we look forward to seeing you guys here next week. Thanks so much for joining us. And we'll be talking about a Washington win next week. Bet.